What's up, everybody? It's your boy Action. It's the Action News Network. This is probably going to be my first kind of news blog. I'm trying to get the format together, trying to get used to this. Please excuse my beard, even though I shouldn't have to. You can please excuse my beard, but it's not where I went at. I'm on vacation from my regular 9 to 5 gig, so just letting it hang out. Um, Action News Network. This is my venture. I'm trying to put together an urban news network for those in the community who consider themselves African American, Hispanic, but it's open to anybody. Um, if you know me, I know or consider myself a Indian. I know the true history of my people, and I'm not being forced to be something I'm not anymore. But that's another topic for another day. And you can find out more of that on Action News Network. I'll have videos on that, and you can check out my Facebook page too. Um, Basically, I want to go over 3 topics today, and one of them topics is the issue of the UN troops in Chicago, and also rumors of them being in Detroit or being called to these cities. If you know anything about the UN, they have been hell bent on for years of disarming U.S. citizens, legal abiding U.S. citizens. They want to trample over a second amendment right. You know, um, and that's well known. You can check that out yourself. You don't have to just take my word for that. You can look that up for yourself. Um, anyway, the Cook County Commissioner Richard Boykin, he is calling for the UN peacekeepers to come in and help with the crime and the violence and gang violence that's been going on in Chicago. Chicago, like many other urban cities, especially in the East Coast and the Midwest, is crime ridden and impoverished, especially in neighborhoods where those who call themselves African Americans or Black people and Hispanics live. Uh, but the numbers, from what I heard, because living here in Phoenix, Arizona now, I've met a lot of half the Black population here are from Chicago, and they have left not just because of crime, because you're not really going to escape crime anyway. There's a lot of crime here in Phoenix. The crime is different wherever you go, but really, the crime numbers have been they're being upped up. They're not really what they're saying they are. It's a lot of cases of extreme police brutality and killings, just like anywhere else in the country. And it's a lot of organ harvesting going up in the northern Midwestern cities like Chicago and Detroit. We can go into the Kanika Jenkins, incident that happened a few months ago too, where it looked like she was killed, and put in a freezer in a hotel in Chicago, which is really weird. And that's kind of like the hallmark of organ harvesting. You would want that body to stay cold until you can get into like a cold truck or whatever. But how to put this at? Chicago, is the third largest city in the country, and it has the second largest Black population, next to my hometown, New York. Uh, they have a lot of crime there, but it's not as bad as people are making it seem, and it's concerning that in these 2 cities like Chicago and Detroit, which have some of the largest Black populations, they both majority Black cities. There's these rumors of the UN troops coming in. Like I said, the Commissioner Richard Boykin is calling for them to come in. This is being backed by the mayor of the city, Rahm Emanuel, a Jew, running a majority Black city. And I think Black people need to start looking at, that and having more power and stop believing, especially these Democrats and stuff, and just voting blindly for these people. But they don't have your best interests in heart. Why the UN has to come in? First off, the crime numbers, Chicago's not as bad as it was 20 years ago. Just like New York City's not as bad as it was 20 years ago. Just like LA isn't as bad as it was 20 years ago. There's no reason to have foreign troops on our land. I hate to say our forefathers because, like we were enslaved and killed, by these guys or whatever. But I'm saying just for the sake of it, our forefathers did not want us to have foreign troops on our land. And we shouldn't be having our troops on other people's lands. We're supposed to stay and handle our own problems. And as indigenous Aboriginal people, we need to handle our own problems. And I think that's going on, and that should continue. And we shouldn't let people speak for us who are not us. But that's looking really bad. The next topic that I want to go through is the whole scandal with Dr. Umar Johnson. Unless you've been living on the rock, you should know who Dr. Umar Johnson is. and you probably should have heard of the scandal that's going on now. He was born Jermaine Shumain, and now he goes by the name Abduba Afatande too. He's been accused by his peers of fraud and pocketing money. He's been active since 2000 and maybe, I know at least since 2009, 2010, when I first started watching him, when I was on my pro-Africa stuff before I found out that we are Aboriginal people. But when I was on my pro-Africa stuff, when I was into my Moorish 5% and stuff, and the Pan-African stuff, I was really into Dr. Umar. He has a lot of great information about what's going on with boys in the school system and special ed and drugging them up with the Ritalin and stuff. Great things, and I wouldn't tell nobody not to watch those speeches. But it's hard for me to think that he hasn't raised the $2 million in nearly 10 years. It's almost kind of a slap in the face to quote unquote black folks that this man, is saying that he hasn't raised enough money for that. He's in, one of his PayPal accounts says he has $700,000 in it, and that was when I was under question. And he's been getting a lot of money from, famous people, checks here for $5,000 and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure PayPal's not the only place he's on. Probably GoFundMe and a couple other places. This man probably has millions and millions of dollars, and he's traveling. Anytime you see the man, he's never at home. He's always on the road, Motel 6s and stuff. It's kind of sad, It's kind of sad. It looks like he might turn out to be another Dr. King, where he's either an agent, or he got caught up in the limelight. Because when I see him now, he's definitely the same guy he was. He was a little more clean cut. He dressed nice, or in the dashikis and stuff. Now he's footed cap and hoodies and cursing and nigga this and nigga that, and I'll beat your ass and other crazy stuff. If you haven't seen videos debunking him, if you're looking for a little comedy, you should see him versus with Tariq Nasheed, who was an incredible businessman, a young, in his early 40s, young black businessman doing his thing with his Hidden Colors movies or whatever, which Umar was presenting in. He ripped him apart. It's funny and it's sad at the same time, but Tariq says he's not trying to be no leader. He just did put his money where his mouth is, and that's the truth. And right now, Dr. Johnson hasn't put his money where his mouth is. So as of this moment, I can't vouch for him or nothing like that. Not that I'm anybody to vouch for anybody, but I stopped effing with a lot of this stuff because of the Pan-African stuff. I don't believe anybody with 3 names, and I don't believe any doctor who has any historical insight into quote-unquote black people who hasn't figured out for himself yet, that we were here and we're indigenous and not African. We have African in us, but we're not African. It's, like the state of Pennsylvania, like I said, took him to court. He won that case for false, for practicing, I guess, medicine or whatever. But that's over and done with. I hope he gets some kind of help. He's not the same guy. He looks crazy now. And that's my opinion on that. Third thing is, real quick before we get out of here, this whole issue of black feminism with the females and stuff like that. There's no reason for black women to be feminists, because the feminist movement was a racist movement to begin with. It was a racist female movement, and it was to take away power from black men. Margaret Sanger was a big supporter of feminism, and Susan B. Anthony was too. And Margaret Sanger, as eugenist, a Nazi supporter. This movement happened at the same time when black men were getting the right to vote, and white women felt that us niggas shouldn't have the right to vote, and they wanted to complain about that. And around the civil rights movement in the 60s, they started getting to black women, like what's her name, Angela Davis, who sexy Angela Davis, who ended up marrying a white guy too, which really pissed me off or whatever. Because she was always like the epitome of what you would consider a strong, beautiful, natural black woman or whatever. But yeah, you see all these videos of men and women black men and women going at it at each other and stuff, and the degradation of the black male, it starts with the black woman almost. We get beat up on, in life all day by white society, and no other group of females kind of treat their men the same way that black females treat their men, and a lot of them are checking up to feminism and stuff, and the yelling, treating your man like a kid, saying black men ain't shit, all of that, and all this other crap that they doing and saying, it just needs to stop. There's no reason. We don't control anything as black men. And I hate to say that. We don't control anything. We don't control any business, any real schools, or anything like that. Black females are in college at a higher rate than us. They get hired at a higher rate than us. There's jobs that females in general can do that men are not typically hired for. So it's kind of a bullshit argument. If anything, black men are being cut down and decimated by their own females and stuff. So maybe it should be like a black meninist, melanist movement or something. But the feminists, cut it out. We as black men have never degraded our females other than hip hop culture, unfortunately. And we can go into that more so with the COINTELPRO that's infiltrated into hip hop, because hip hop didn't start as a misogynist entity. It was an uplifting entity at first, but once it got infiltrated, by CIA and stuff like that, and the gangster rap came in, and we did start misogynizing females. But the average black man doesn't. The average black man does treat his female with respect, while the average white man doesn't, regardless of what his monetary status is. And like I said, it was a racist movement in the first place, and it infiltrated the civil rights movement and got to the heads of black females. And since the 1970s, it has been a big problem. And if you think it's that black men are just too stupid to go to college or get these jobs or whatever, then I have a bridge in Brooklyn and I want to sell you, because you're that stupid. We need to start being smarter, being more aware of our surroundings and our enemies, and start understanding the games and tactics that's being played against us as quote unquote black, African American, but really Indian, Aboriginal, and indigenous people of this hemisphere, of this continent, Turtle Island, which is known as North and South America. All right. I'd like to thank everybody who's watched this. It's a short segment. I'm just getting it together. I will have a more professional setting soon, and I hope to see everybody back again soon. I'm gonna try to do a couple topics a day. Some videos might be a little bit longer in the future. Right now, I'm just testing out a format and seeing how this will look and how it goes, and getting comfortable doing it. Like I said, Action News Network, we're gonna, it's up to y'all if it's gonna blow up. I need all the support I can get. And people got videos, want to send in, want to join this, want to do something, got information. I will definitely have contact information probably by the next video or two to let you know how you can do this. Because this network only works if I have sources and have people willing to help and support. So hopefully we can get this off the ground. We can get this up and running, and have fun with it. But at the same time, there's a lot of serious stuff coming down the pipeline that we need to really get serious about. So I hope to be able to see everybody again next time. I'll probably try to do a video tomorrow. I'm trying to keep it down to 3 topics. I could do 1 million topics a day, but I'm going to try to keep it down to a few topics. Don't want the videos to be too long right now, because it will turn people off until I get big. Maybe under 15 minutes. So everybody, for Phoenix, Arizona, it's your boy Action, aka the Crazy Indian, and I'll see you again next time. And thank you for your support. Take care.